started correcting their own behavior. Isn't that what we want? It's called self-control and self-responsibility. That I won't always be there to control them. When my son was 4 years of age, I was walking down the hallway of my home one morning, and there are his pajamas in the middle of the bathroom floor. And I suddenly realized I've been seeing these things all over the house. He used to put them up. I think maybe he's read some book somewhere that says, leave your pajamas out everywhere. They're just out everywhere. I go in the next room, he's watching Mr. Rogers. I turned the TV off and I said to him, Craig, we are about to institute a new and significant policy within the confines of this household. I got his attention. Folks, I have used that so much that when I say that, for my children, the world stops because they know something's about to be said that will affect my very life. And Craig, the policy is, when you choose to put your pajamas in the dresser drawer where they belong, you choose to get to watch Mr. Rogers that morning. Now notice that I've shifted from all day with my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old to that morning for my 4-year-old. That's all a 4-year-old can last, half a day. Whole day, that's eternity. So you'd never put anything off limits for a whole day for a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. When you choose to put your pajamas in the dresser drawer where they belong, you choose to get to watch Mr. Rogers that morning. When you choose not to put your pajamas in the dresser drawer where they belong, you choose not to get to watch Mr. Rogers that morning. The next morning, I'm walking down that same hallway. I go past his bedroom door. There are his pajamas right in the middle of his floor. I go in the next room. There he is watching Mr. Rogers. As I walked into the room, I didn't even get a chance to say anything. He suddenly realized why I'm there. He jumped up, ran past me, headed for his bedroom. And I'm going along behind him saying, Craig, Craig, son, I think I know what you have in mind. He's grabbing his pajamas and shoving them in the dresser drawer. You think that now that you put your pajamas away, then you choose to get to watch Mr. Rogers. But Craig, the very moment you left those pajamas in the middle of your floor, at that very moment, you chose not to watch Mr. Rogers. Cry loudly. You would have thought the world was shattering. But he did not watch Mr. Rogers because he had chosen not to. The very next morning, I am walking down that same hallway. There are his pajamas right there in the middle of the hall. Our hall goes like this. I'm going this way, and Craig's coming this way, and we meet looking at his pajamas. He looked up at me and said, I know, Dad, I choose not to watch Mr. Rogers this morning, but tomorrow I'm going to remember. And he did. He did. With choice giving, folks, goes self-responsibility. It does not work the same to say, if you don't put your pajamas away, you can't watch Mr. Rogers. That's a threat. And you don't learn anything about self-control and self-responsibility. When that same son was now 7 years old and in 2nd grade, he came home one afternoon. It had been a terrible, horrible, no good day for him. Mom called us to dinner. He's slow coming to the dinner table. Too slow. He finally slouched into his chair, looked out over the table, and announced, "This looks gross." Your children know that word? This looks gross. And then he made some equally disparaging other remark before I could react, and I said, Craig, if you choose to sit at the table, you choose to eat. If you choose to eat, you choose to get to have dessert. Mom had baked a chocolate pie that afternoon. It is the whole family's most favorite dessert in the entire world. We all love chocolate pie. I didn't even get to go on with my choices. When I said, if you choose to eat, you choose to get to have dessert, he promptly announced, I don't want any of that crummy pie. He loves it, but he's going to be obstinate. So I said, so you choose to not to eat and you choose not to have dessert. Right, he said. So I excused him from the table. We finish eating. Mom goes to the refrigerator to retrieve the chocolate pie. Craig is in the next room. He has great ears. He can even hear a refrigerator door open. And he suddenly realized what's about to happen. It's dessert time. Here he came, streaking into the kitchen, dumped into his chair, didn't even wait for his fork, grabbed a whole handful of food, and he's shoving it in his mouth. And I'm saying to him, Craig, son, I think I know what you have in mind. You think that now that you eat a whole bunch of food, then you choose to get to have dessert. But Craig, the very moment you chose not to eat, at that very moment, you chose not to have chocolate pie. Folks, what I am teaching my children is, at the very moment that you make a decision, you are committed. At the very moment that a 15-year-old out there on the other side of town, away from you, out of your safety zone, chooses to swallow a pill that shouldn't go inside anybody's body, at that very moment they are committed. Their chromosomes may be altered forever because of that chemical. No matter how much you would like to take it back, you can't. At the very moment that that 16-year-old chooses to drive 65 miles an hour down the street and runs over some child on a tricycle, at that moment they are committed. And no matter how much you would like to take that tragedy back, you can't. And I want my children growing up with that kind of sense of responsibility, that I make choices and I'm committed when I make the choice. I'll have to live with it. At the very moment, Craig, that you chose not to eat, at that very moment, you chose not to have chocolate pie. That was one interaction. The other interaction is my wife is standing behind my son, holding the chocolate pie, saying to me, "Can he just have a little piece?" Moms, it's hard to be tough, but there are times when you must be tough. Better to be tough when they're 7 years old and 8 years old and 10 years old than to try to be tough as you may need to be when they're 16 and 17 and it's too late to be tough then. So I took my wife into the next room and I said, "Monisa, 5 years from now, which will have had the greatest impact on our child's life? The fact that he was allowed to consume a little sliver of chocolate pie tonight, or the fact that he was allowed to live with the consequences of his own choice?" Folks, when we walk down the road 5 years and look back, it will be crystal clear how we need to react now. How we need to react now. How will our children ever learn how to make choices, to make life's most important choices? How will they ever learn that if we don't give them some practice in how to make those choices now, while we have time to help them to learn that? Now, let me stop here and see if there are some questions.